Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Brendan Davis here. Welcome to my very first live on this channel. I am glad that you're here. And I'm talking to you, the person watching. It's also possible that you're watching, on the replay. Very glad to have you here. I am trying to catch my breath, to be really fair and honest with you. It's been a good day, but it's been the kind of day that reminds you to be, not to say the gate, not to sound too hokey right out of the gate. It's the kind of day that reminds you to be grateful for everything you have. I had a plan. I'll tell you this. I had a plan that got thrown out the window a bit because my little baby daughter, 19 months old, she's okay. I'll say that. You know, don't want to give you a story of a toddler in jeopardy and leave you hanging. And I'm not trying to milk this for that reason. But she got sick today at daycare, and we got an email from the director of the daycare saying not to be too gross, and hopefully you're not in the middle of a meal while you're watching me, and I won't be too gross, but she started vomiting like right after lunch 3 times. And so the director wrote us and said, we think she's okay. We're giving her fluids. We're keeping an eye. She doesn't have a fever. Good news, right? Doesn't have a fever, but we want to make you aware of this. And so my wife and I decided we need to hustle over there and get her early. And we got there, and it's a long story. She got sick 3 more times, like while we were there trying to get her out the door, and we changed clothes multiple times. I got soaked. Somebody found a man's t-shirt that was 2 sizes too small for me. I've lost a little weight lately, but it was not a good look. But I appreciate that they had something other than the messed up shirt I would have worn. But we had to take her to the emergency room. And 3 hours later, with everything back and forth, that experience was great. We'll talk about that experience on our family YouTube channel that we have called Shay Davis, as in House of Davis, about us being expat parents living here in France. That's actually a massive project of mine. That is the channel on YouTube here that I put a ton of work into with my wife, and very excited about it. But it's very different from this channel. So you're here watching this live, or you're watching the replay of this live. So I want to fill you in on everything. The baby's okay. Turns out it's probably gastroenteritis, and basically the treatment is, juices, nothing acidic. Give her liquids, food that she can tolerate, and that's a list. And she'll be better in a few days. And if any of these symptoms pop up, bring her right back here. She had it one other time. It's the joy of going to a daycare. It's great. It's amazing to have that opportunity to trust your child to people at a daycare, and they are wonderful here. But the reason that I want to do this live, this is the first one. I promised in the conversation that I had with you via the camera when I was recording the 2025 Who the Hell is Brendan Davis video, basically. That is the trailer on my channel, Brendan Davis Filmmaker. And, I know it's the most original name I could think of. But I talked about this in there. And this channel, you're here. 97% odds you're here because you saw my film, The Unwinding. And if you were here previously, that's great too, and I appreciate it. And anyone's welcome who stumbles upon this, finds something of value on the channel. That's excellent. But The Unwinding is the sort of thing that I make between the movies that pay the bills, the projects that pay the bills. And it means an awful lot to me. If you've seen it, you understand this. If you haven't seen it, maybe this motivates you to check it out, see if it's something that you would like. But it's a really deeply personal story to me. It means the world. And actually, I'm wearing one of my Unwinding crew t-shirts. I'll tilt this down a second, cut my big fat head out, but I'm wearing one of my crew shirts right now. And I had an idea, because the film itself means an awful lot to a lot of people. I've been really blown away by the response as I said in other places, but almost 400,000 people have watched a 25-minute long short film drama about a depressed widower on a small pension living in the suburbs of London, living in not so great part of South London, who's horribly, horribly depressed, but finds reasons to keep on living. And there's this very interesting, I mean, can I say it's interesting? I think it's interesting. I wrote it and directed it and cut it and produced it with a partner and scored it and give it to you here on my YouTube channel. But I think it's it has this sort of magical twist as you go, and it means the world to me that it's connected because it came from a really deep personal place. I'm not going to go on about that film too much, but I want to let you know I have had a handful of people see me wearing this shirt, right? This crew T-shirt, and go, "Oh, that's really cool. How can I get one of those?" And like, well, first, build a time machine. Second, go back in time and work on the film with us because that's how we all got them. And so I thought about it. I talked with my wife, and I said, maybe I should print a limited run, make available a run of these that maybe they don't say film crew exactly, but they're basically, they have the film logo or something. So I signed up for one of these print on demand shops that has a great reputation. I'm not sponsored here in any way, but if you check out the shop here on this channel, you'll see that there's a place where you can order on demand t-shirts, hoodies, and a coffee mug, and also a couple of ball caps. I picked the ones that I thought were the coolest ones to different, like a trucker hat and a really nice kind of braided rope baseball hat that had the Unwinding logo on there. And you can see what they look like, and you can choose different colors if black's not your jam. So anyway, those are here if that might be, if that might make you happy to have a little bit of that, or just you want to support the channel because that baby who's fortunately on the mend, I mean, that baby needs diapers, and YouTube and independent films don't really pay the bills so much these days. So it would be amazing. But I've said too much about that if you're curious. First of all, the reason we're here, I wanted to see how this went as a live, see if anyone joins us or pops into the chat. And, I'm seeing that I'm not seeing the chat. So if you're here and if you're trying to ask me a question, I've got this YouTube monkey that says something went wrong. I'm going to try to refresh this page. If it crashes the stream, I'm going to be right back. Give me a second. Well, this is going very well. I think I've reconnected. It looks like it still has someone online. Hello. The chat, I don't have a way to screenshot this, but I wonder if you can see the reflection. Yeah, you see that reflection on my phone? It says something went wrong. So I don't see the chat, which is disappointing because I want you to be able to ask me questions. That's the whole point of this. So I don't know a workaround right this second, but what I will do is I will occasionally check and see if anyone's asking any questions. I'll check on another browser window and I will open that as smoothly as I can in the background. I guess if I hadn't told you, it'd be a little smoother, right? I'm opening another browser window in the background so that I can hopefully see your chat. That's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is actually, pardon me for just a second. Don't go anywhere. If you're watching, don't go anywhere. I'm going to get into some stuff that I think you'll be interested in. But I need to go to, what I need to do is I need to open another window in YouTube, and I'm going to go to it as myself. I'm going to go to it from the other accounts. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to it as, here we go. I'm going to join that. I'm going to join my own chat. There we go. I'm here. Hi, me. All right. So I can see the live chat with a delay. I can see it on my other account. So thank you for watching and thank you for hanging in there. I appreciate it. Let me get into what we want to talk about today. So I was excited to do this because there are a lot of people who have questions about indie filmmaking, right? There are some people, and a lot of them are on the other channel that I have with my wife that I mentioned, this Shay Davis channel. There are a lot of people who are interested in me being an American expat in France. And, that's its own conversation. It's a big conversation, and hey, I'm here for it. I'm here to have that conversation. If you have any questions about that, and I've got some time in my outline specifically set aside to do that with you. But sorry, moving the last window. I'm doing all this on a laptop screen, so I can actually track this chat and track I can track the chat and also the control center for everything here. So, a lot of people have been curious about how do you end up being, an American and you're living in Paris, and that sounds fancy. Well, it's nice. Our life is the opposite of fancy. It's not bad. It's pretty great, but it's not like it's not like people with a ton of money and we just show up here. It's really the opposite of that. It's working class people, independent filmmaker, and how we came here and why we came here. So that's its own long story. We talk about that more on the Shay Davis Expat Parents in Paris channel. That's not what we're here to talk about today. I wanted to do this. I wanted to tell you, there are videos on this channel where if you want to hear like sort of the short version of my filmmaking journey, how I got here, who the hell I am, what kind of a career I built. Because if you know me through this, you don't know me from probably much else. There are a few ways that people know me outside of the Unwinding, of course, because I've had a 30+ year career working in different places in the business. But there's a long video about the making of the Unwinding. It's called like One Film Changed Everything, I believe. And that's the deep dive. And it gets into really personal stuff like my horrible depression I had in LA 13 years ago. Don't tune out if you're, what I want to do tonight is really more storytelling, Q&A. So if I see any questions pop into the chat, I'm going to address those. This is the very first one. I wanted to see if anyone was interested in some of these stories I have to tell. I used to be a teacher. I used to be a college professor of filmmaking in Los Angeles. I loved teaching. It's one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. And, it's very fulfilling. And of course, that's not just like storytelling, right? But there's a bit of that. So tonight, I have an outline to sort of keep me roughly on track so I don't just ramble for 2 hours. I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to give you a little snapshot of how we got here. We, meaning me and my wife and I and our daughter, and me professionally, right? How the hell did I end up here after a lifetime of making a bunch of these, working on a bunch of like $500,000 indie films, a few bigger things, and some TV bits and a lot of commercials and things like that, music videos, mostly as a producer. Most of the credits people know me from outside of like the short films here on YouTube are as a producer. But the Unwinding story is here in detail. You can find that video all about that. The thing that brought me to Paris is a big feature film called My Favorite Season. A friend of mine, an American friend from Beijing, who I met in Beijing in 2013. He's the writer and the director, and this was his baby. This was his passion project, his vision for what he wanted to do with his life. And long story very short, I'll skip all the backstory to say that film set in the world of Paris high fashion, which obviously is my world. It's not my world, but he's into that stuff. And he's deeply passionate about it. He knows it incredibly well. So the story is pretty great. And I met him and first read it when the script wasn't that great. If he's on this watching, he knows I'm speaking the truth. This is not news. I'm not telling any secrets by saying that. But it was a great idea in search of a great script. Well, he ended up nailing it after multiple years of development and a lot of, coaches and help to do it. He ended up nailing it. And so we had that film put together. We were ready to start heading into COVID as it happened, heading into 2020. We had a meeting set up that was like the last meeting to finish the financing and go make the movie. And I knew that that would take at least a year of time between the preparation, the production itself, the editing, and all the wrapping up of things here. I knew that it would mean that I would need to move to Paris for a year. And yeah, that sounded awesome, right? Especially if somebody else is paying the bills. I mean, who wouldn't want to go someplace beautiful and cool if you can and it's paid for and it's not costing you, you're getting paid to do it. I mean, just what a cool opportunity, right? Then COVID happened, shut the whole thing down. Over 3 years, we put it back together and it fell apart, and back together and it fell apart. And then meanwhile, my girlfriend from back in Beijing, Susie, who's Chinese or American, her English name is Susie. We've been keeping the love alive long distance with daily multiple chats, and we do these video dates. We'd open up Zoom on both ends and we just like hang out virtually, where we spend time talking specifically, but then we also just kind of go out our days when we're all on lockdown. Remember that? That's kind of crazy. We'd like both find a movie, we'd queue it up and start at the same time, and then we'd like watch a movie together virtually. So we made plans to reunite when the travel restrictions finally lifted. So we did. She couldn't come to America. I couldn't go to China. We said, you know what? Let's go to Paris, because that's a place where if this movie starts, that's where we're going to need to be to make the movie anyway. And let's see what it's like. So we did that. Met here, we got married in Copenhagen because it's easier in Denmark to get married as foreigners. They actually facilitate it. In France, you can do it, but it's really, really hard. So anyway, we reunited, we spent 4 months, Europe, UK, went back to Beijing, my first time since early 2020. And about 3 weeks after we got back to Beijing, Susie found out she was pregnant. She woke up with what we learned was morning sickness. So anyway, that accelerated our move. There are a lot of things in between, but we calculated what's the last safe date she can fly pregnant. That date was December 1 of 2023. And we said, no matter what, whether this movie comes together or not, December 1, we're on a plane. And we were. So we arrived in Paris December 1st, 2023. And there's a lot we did to get here and land and everything, but that's how we got here. We decided, you know what, we have to do this ourselves, even if we have to. I mean, the only upside is that, of the pandemic really is it gave me time to like work on stuff and lock in. And I did as much kind of work without having to go spend a lot of money to live, because there's lockdown, not traveling, not doing much of anything, eating, cooking at home, able to save a little bit of money, had a few little jobs I was doing like that were virtual type jobs. And she had some savings. So we were able to basically make this move on a wing and a prayer, a little bit of savings and a little bit of credit cards, which are now abused and maxed. So, I can, as what's the saying is, I can't pay attention right now. I'm so broke, I can't even pay attention. So anyway, not to belabor the point, but we made the move with her pregnant, and we had our baby. Our daughter, Jenny, we call her, was born January of last year, a day after my birthday, which was cool. That was the coolest thing. So we have been building our life here, and besides that movie, that was the thing that put Paris on my personal radar and got me to want to come here. It's beautiful, the food's amazing here. The healthcare system is usually ranked number one in the world. There are amazing doctors in the US, and some of the most highly rated specialists in many fields are US based, but typically the best rated healthcare system in the world is France's, and if not number one, it's number two. So we felt great about moving here, starting a family, doing everything here. So that movie is what put Paris on the map for me. But having a place where Susie and I could reunite and make it our own home, that was that was the most important part of it, because also the political stuff between, like, there's the US issues, there's the China issues, there's US China issues. We thought, you know what, let's make a third place like our chosen home, not to be too corny, but that's the truth. So again, thank you for watching. I had a little technical glitch earlier, so I appreciate you staying in here with me. But what I'm getting to is I want to talk about a few things today. You know, in short, how we got here, Paris wasn't just a plan, it became the plan. It was the place we could reunite and also build a life together, and then welcome this baby to be born in Paris, as it turned out, which was really cool. And, France has its issues. They're not the sort of issues we're in the middle of. We're not at the pointy end of the stick on a lot of France's issues. Lord knows it's got its complications, and we talk more about that again on the channel that Susie and I created together called Shay Davis, which is Expat Parents in Paris channel. This channel is about filmmaking and creativity and perseverance. How do you craft your vision for what you want to do? Big picture with your life, more zoomed in with a given project or a task or a life goal that you have in the short term. Resilience. These are themes that all the self-help type people really harp on, that you have to develop that. And I don't go around patting myself on the back too much. I tend to be fairly introverted. I'm an introvert who can talk a lot. It's kind of a funny, I don't know if you can relate to that, but I'm an introvert who loves to talk, not all the time. I'm also happy to shut my mouth and not say a thing for 2 days in a row. But if I'm in the right opportunity, I'm in the right place, or I'm in the right situation, or I have the opportunity like this, I can talk. I used to do radio. I had podcasts for years before literally everybody had to have a podcast by law. I had 3 different podcasts. So I want to talk a little bit about what it's like in Paris. I want to talk about kind of my creative focus and what I'm up to, just sort of high level, and really talk about some of the comments and thoughts that have come in from people watching the Unwinding specifically. There are also a lot of people on this channel who discovered it by way of a music video of sorts that I shot of my friend Rook Overman, may he rest in peace, of him covering this track by the electronic group Binary Finery. This track that was their Binary Finery 1998. It was their huge anthem of 1998. And in sort of early 99, he had figured out a take on it on guitar. And it's amazing. If you're a musician of any kind, you play any instrument, I don't get anything from it. It's demonetized because they have the rights to their song. Watch it, enjoy it. His performance is so. This is a snippet of the longer piece. I have the beta SP tapes for my hardcore professional audiovisual nerd types. I have the actual beta SP tapes of all the multiple takes that we did. And I have all that in my storage unit in Culver City, which is part of LA, Metro LA. So one day I will dig up that stuff when I can ever get back to LA for 5 minutes and go through and basically ship all my stuff here, which is what I need to do because we live here now. That is, a goal, because he passed away way too young, had a series of strokes, and just had an amazing life, but a hard life, and just one of the most talented guys you'd ever experience, that you might ever encounter, even in a place like Los Angeles, where they kind of grow, talented people they all flock there. So it seems like they grow on trees. They don't, there are a lot of those types of people there, because that's where they historically have tried to kind of like make a career for themselves. But he stood out, Rook was special. He was a one of one kind of person. And it's not for me to get into his deeper story right this minute, but he had a lot of demons as well, and he dealt with those later in his life. But his health, he was the same age, but he had a series of strokes a few years ago from working. He was working out in the hot sun and somewhere in Oklahoma where he had moved to back home to Oklahoma. And he had a stroke, hospitalized, recovered, got out, and then he got back to work and he had another damn stroke and it killed him. So it's a shame. But I've got a lot of little clips. I've got him in a couple of movies on this platform, some short films, some comedy sketches, some guitar stuff. But the binary finary, Rook Overman plays binary finary. Rook Overman plays binary finary 1998. Just take a look. Look at the comments. I didn't comment 5,000 times. Other people did, or however many it is. It's a lot. So it's a special thing. And I'm so happy we have that. That's what initially brought a lot of people to this channel, because this was basically, I say this in like the intro to Who the Hell I Am video. That's the trailer for this channel these days. That's what brought people to this channel. It was otherwise kind of like not my junk drawer. It's not junk at all, but it was kind of like that I use the expression AKS case in filmmaking. The camera, like everybody on the camera department has all these specialized, like heavy duty Pelican cases, these shipping cases or anvil cases. And they're foam lined inside. They're like, you can drop them off a building, they're impact resistant and all that. But they have their lenses and their camera bodies and pieces and accessories. And then there's always a case called AKS, which is where everything that doesn't otherwise have a place goes in the AKS case. But you need it. It's essential. It's important for some reason. AKS stands for all kinds of shit. So YouTube was my AKS case where I just put all kinds of shit. And it's stuff that was fun, experiments, no budget, low budget, weird, non-commercial, and, heartfelt. And so there's lots of stuff of my ancient past that's on here. But check out the Rook Overman stuff, man. He was special. So, if you want to find out about, the Unwinding film, like I said, there's a lot that you can glean from this channel. There's a cast reunion video. We did like a Zoom reunion with me and the cast. That was a lot of fun. But I want to talk first in terms of like actual bullet points that I'm looking at here, to be fair. Live in Paris 2025. What's it like? Well, I'm not sure where you're living these days. Tell me in the comments, please. Tell me in the chat if you're here with me right now. I see some people are watching, and maybe you just got it tuned. That's cool. No worries. But tell me where you're living right now. If you're hearing this in real time, and if you're not, tell me where you're living down in the comments, and we could compare notes about places we live. And I mean, I've lived a lot of places. Some of them are places I want to live again. Some of them are places that I think are fantastic, wonderful places, and everything in between. This is a real good place to be for a lot of reasons. There's some things that make it really hard. One is I am not fluent in le français. I've studied diligently for about 5 years now, but I don't have I never had like a private tutor. I didn't have Spanish in high school to college, French in high school to college. I had Spanish, which helped me. I think it's helped me. Being an American English speaker helps because you get a little bit of French. You don't realize until you start learning French how much French has influenced the U.S. and modern day French has pulled some stuff from American English. But Spanish helped. So being an American English speaker helped with learning. Was helping with learning French, and it's helped so far. Being a Spanish speaker, I used to be a functional Spanish speaker. Saying fluent gives me too much credit. I mean, I could pass like I could pass like a C1 test sort of thing. Pardon me, I have to drink the beverage when I shoot the videos. When I do the videos, they're all edited and have like pretty pictures and sound and whatnot. You don't see the pauses where somebody needs a beverage because they're talking too damn much. So there's the beverage. Here's my vape. It's just nicotine. Don't get jealous. Don't hate. If you missed the first part of this, we had to take my toddler to the hospital today unexpectedly. She's okay, but it was a 4-hour curveball and just gut-wrenching, heart-wrenching. Oh my God, she's got a really bad stomach sickness. She's gonna be fine. She's She's great now. But to get back to the thread, I was weaving a nice little sweater for us out of. It's really nice to live here for a lot of reasons. And I don't live in Paris. I live in like the suburbs. Uh, I haven't seen anybody pop in the chat and say, I'm from so and so. Feel free to pop in and say, hey, I'm from so and so. I'd love to hear about it. But sorry, I got some ad for Tai Chi's. Anybody else get all the? I'm refreshing the chat window page. Anybody else getting all these ads for being a middle-aged or older man, and you should start doing Tai Chi, and it's kind of like super buff looking, basically Asian, like AI Asian dudes who are supposed to be in their 60s, and they look like they got the body of a 20-year-old on a magazine cover. Oh, okay. I'm getting all these Tai Chi ads. Is it just me? Are you getting those? Maybe it's something that middle-aged men specifically are hearing about. But living here is great for a lot of reasons. Paris is really close. I'm 20 minutes by like the metro to Paris. So if you want to go see, Paris, and even if you've never been here, you've got a television and have seen movies, and so you have a sense of Paris. So if you want to go see some of that fancy shit, it's just up the road. I love French food. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And not like fruity list. I mean, I like some of that stuff too, but just daily French food can be hearty and awesome. It's really good. I think most Southern Americans, especially, of which I am one by way of Los Angeles, granted, but I'm a Southern American, born and raised and fully cooked in the South. Southern Americans, I mean, French cuisine has influenced a lot of our food, especially Louisiana. I mean, Louisiana is the most French state in the U.S. Southern Americans especially would love some French food. And then people from kind of like up in the Northeast would love other things. People on the West Coast love other things. People from the heartland, certain things they'd really love. So French food's freaking awesome. If you disregard the fancy white tablecloth kind of stuff, I mean, that's nice, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the daily food that real people make and they put on the kitchen table that doesn't have a fancy tablecloth. So the food's awesome. Healthcare's some of the best in the world and amazing. Guess what we paid? Let me throw this out there. What's it like to live here? I want to talk about being an American filmmaker living in France, like living abroad, but this will blow your mind. So we are in the system, like we have the card. It's called the Carte Vitale, the vital card, right? We have those now for us, and me and my wife and our little daughter is on the account with me. So we had to go to the emergency room, pediatric emergency room. Saw two doctors two doctors and a nurse at a time. This doctor, this specialist of some kind. Was a 6 specialists over like a 3-hour period. They ran a ton of tests. They did blood work. They checked everything, did all this stuff. We had a little bit we had to pay when we left. We had to pay 19 euros. Okay. €1 is like $1.10 or $1.15 right now, depending on where the exchange rate is. I didn't look today because I don't look at that every day. So we paid basically $23 just with the basic, hi, I am a resident, because we are legal residents of France. We paid $23 for like pediatric emergency room visit and like all these people taking care of our baby. Mind blowing. I'd have to get a second job in the US just to pay like the deductible part of an insurance policy in the US. So that part's awesome because you can live and work and you're not just panicked all the time that something's going to happen to you. There's like daily stuff that happens to all of us, and it's going to like ruin you. You can be ruined in other ways. I said this on another context to somebody. It's like, I'm sure there's a way in French, the language, to express the concept of having medical debts. I'm pretty sure they don't have like a common, I'll find out. I'm going to actually ask some actual French people for this, who are bilingual and can tell me in English, can understand me and we can talk about it. I bet that they don't even have a term that basically means to go broke because of medical debt. It ain't a thing here. It's not a thing here. You're not going to go poor. I mean, the worst case medical thing that could happen to you, I'm sure there's some crazy outlier, right? You could come up with some crazy outlier, find some insane extreme example where that could happen. The average person never going to experience a worry in the world about that. Now, if you're American, I'm sorry if I just made you jealous and go, God dang, me too. Me too, brother or sister, person I'm talking to right now. Me too. It's part of why we came here. Like, look, I'm an old dude, relatively speaking. I'm a hashtag old dad. My daughter is my first child. I turned 56 last year. Then she was born and turned 0 the next day. I'm 57 right now. So I'm an old dad. So I'm trying to get back in better shape and losing some weight and cleaned up the diet for the most part and such. Just recently I got back to committing to that because I'd gotten I got a little extra fluffy, I got a little extra fluffy, I was about an extra half ton of fun that I didn't need to be for my health, right? Because I want to be here. I want to see my daughter grow up as much as I can. So I wanted a place where she could grow up and not worry about the stuff we worry about in the US. I mean, gun violence ain't a thing here. They're crazy politics. I mean, if you're an American, whichever hat you wear for your home team, whichever side you're on, you don't like where things are. Either you're on the side, which to be fair, I'm on, which really hates what's happening now with the new changes, or maybe you're on that side and you're like, well, we're making those changes and we don't like what y'all been doing. Fair. I mean, within reason. There are parts that they're screwed up, right? But my point is, you come here and you're not in American politics. You're not in America, right? Obviously, you're not in that context where you have to care about what's happening in terms of your day-to-day life. You care because it's your people, it's your home. You want people to be well and safe and live and thrive and everything like that. But you are absolutely not it's not your daily life. Sorry, I'm moving the chat window where we can see it here. Thank you for bearing with me. We're mastering the technology. I'm a film and television professional. Can't you tell? I'm managing all these windows behind the scenes as best as I can. Thank you for bearing with me. But so you're free of the grind of it, but of course you can still be involved remotely, such as that is. You don't get healthcare. You don't have to worry about going broke from health issues. Food is amazing, which feeds into the health thing. The politics, well, French politics are cray cray. Like if you are somebody who's like deeply politically involved, but you have interests that are sort of outside of like an American bubble. I mean, you might be watching right now from Bangalore, or you might be in Bangalore or Burbank for all I know. But the reality is that French politics are interesting. And it's even more interesting as a French resident who's not a French citizen and doesn't get to vote and doesn't have to vote. And therefore, I get to watch the whole thing kind of unfold like a crazy ass reality show, which is sort of what it seems like a lot of the times. But, you get to basically experience a much more diverse political universe because you have the far, far right who are crazy, and you have the far, 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 far left, and they're crazy, and then you have like the more the right of center right, and we gonna have some disagreements, but they live in objective reality. They just have a different opinion than I do. Then there's the left of center folks, which I'm going to be between them and the center on most issues, not all, and then there's all these little fractional groups who float around and are totally crazy. Point is that it's a parliamentary system. So it's fascinating to see how they govern or don't govern themselves. Basically Macron sort of rage quit parliament last year and said, fine, you deal with it. Dissolved the government, said, F it, y'all deal with it. I'm out, mic drop. And then it's a mess. But so the point is, it's different political stuff that you can enjoy. You don't have to be soaking in our homegrown political stuff. If you're American, you may not be in America. Pardon that focus on that. We're about to move off of that right now. But, then thus is the parenting. And again, if you're not a parent, I won't go on about it so much that you go, oh, please, dude, come on. But the daycare system, and then later, like the school systems here, it's really something. France loves their babies. They love kids, and people are generally really nice to kids. My experience just as a traveler, even before I had kids, you'd see some, some parents had like some kid who's crying and upset, and other people just like looking at them like with just the shittiest looks. And it's like, and at times, yeah, I've been inconvenienced in terms of my peace of mind and my eardrums and my sense of calm in a place like the airport or a line or on a bus or something. I'm one of those people too. But you see some people just lose it on people with kids who are being kids, and they're figuring out their life, and they're figuring out how to be in the world. So it's tricky. It's tricky. It's hard to be a kid. I mean, I remember it having been a kid. I remember it felt hard looking back. Yeah, it actually, there are parts that were easy. You didn't have to deal with, you know, you didn't have to deal with how much do I tip on this bill. And you don't deal with that in France either. There's no tipping. But, being a kid's hard, as I've come to appreciate really meaningfully. So I've been focused on that kind of stuff. I've been focused on, honey, I'm watching something. It's about some fat bearded man drinking a beverage. Sorry, I can't. I have to drink a beverage occasionally. That's what happens. So let me talk about my creative focus, because I've kind of given you little high level overview of what's going on. Just in terms of being here. I'm here professionally for a lot of reasons. I mentioned earlier in this conversation, this one way conversation, that I'd love you to join. Please leave some comments, ask questions, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think about things. If you enjoy this, hey, I've never had one, and I'm not begging for it. I'm eligible for super chats. If you like this, you can tip me a penny or $1,000 or anything in between. I think I'm not sure exactly what the boundaries are, but super chats are a thing. So that's pretty cool. I might have to watch one of these and give myself a tip, just to watch it pop up. But anyway, I'm here because what brought me here is this movie that I'm producing. Otherwise, I'm a writer director who became a producer out of self-defense, out of necessity originally, and then stayed one out of self-defense. And for practical reasons, because the producer is basically the person who puts a movie together in terms of like, okay, so there's the script. Either I have the script, like I've optioned it, like I've licensed the right to make it, and or I've got a director who has the script, or they're the writer director, but the producer is the person who works with the writer and or the director, or the writer director if they're the same person, and figures out, okay, we're going to make a thing. Here's what it is. Here's what we want to make it. Here's what it should cost. Like best case scenario, we make it the way we want to make it. Here's what it should cost. Here's the kind of the level of like the well-knownness level of talent we need in these different roles to get somebody to pay to make it. And that's all based on what does a film like this make historically. And it's a lot of guesswork. The producer's a person who figures that shit out. That's what I do professionally, mostly. But I went to film school. I was a writer director. I ended up working as a production sound mixer, first an intern, and then worked my way up to being a production sound mixer, like the on-set location team, sound team. And that was an amazing job to have while I was scrapping around trying to be a rock star, which is its own other story. But my first career is failed rock star, and there are a handful of people who follow this channel who know that and have known me from the glory days, from 35 years ago. This gray is not painted on. This is legit. But anyway, I'm mostly writer director, really. That's how I identify. Although to the degree that anybody knows me in the business, they know me as like an indie film producer. So besides the movie that brought me here, I'm working on a film called One Shot. Very, very passionate about this. It's set mostly in Paris, and then there's about a week or so that's in London and the estate areas, sort of the state suburbs surrounding that. And that movie, It is it's the best thing. I'm super proud of the Unwinding. I'm very proud of many things. I'm proud to different degrees of different things I've done. I'm not going to talk about some things I've done, but I'm very proud of the ones I'm talking about that you can see on YouTube for the most part. But one shot, all any sense of false modesty or excusing for anybody. It may be the best thing I've ever done and ever do if we actually make it. I love this script. I've worked so hard on it. I understand it as a piece of business. I'm not trying to pitch you on it unless you're someone who finances independent films, in which case, get at me. Figure out a way to contact me. It's not that hard. Google search my name. You'll find my website, crazyinagoodway.com. Because my belief, I got that years ago from something. I paraphrased something I heard in the book, made up my own little thing. The idea is, to get through this life, you have to be a little crazy, but hopefully it's in a good way. So that's where that comes from. I've had that forever as my URL, but you can get at me through those mediums if you wish. There's a contact form on there, and you can leave comments here, etc. But I'm working on one shot, and I have some partners and colleagues who are trying to help be part of this to get this thing going. I started a series here, a series meaning a playlist on YouTube that we're calling Reflections from a Life on Set. So it's meant to be sort of a live slash podcast, like i.e. recorded, but essentially live. And then, maybe you color correct it and you fix the sound and you put it up and with a better thumbnail than just a freeze frame where I'm going like, which is what you're going to get for this until I change it. But Reflections from a Life on Set, it's meant to be sort of like a focused version of what I'm doing now. Right now, I'm frazzled from the day, my plans. I was really going to be much more dialed in and locked in and focused, and I'm focused on talking to you. And I hope you can see that I'm doing my level best to connect and be real about things. And I will do that always moving forward. It's what I endeavor to be every time I open my mouth and wake up and show up someplace. So Reflections from Life on Set is meant to be a series here where it's basically this, where I'm talking about something specific, and they're not always going to be like an hour plus long. This is going to land around, and I'm seeing it says 48 minutes. We're going to land right around an hour with this, just so you know, where how much longer to hang on if you're watching this. But I have a lot of stories. I worked on like 80. I forget how many credits I have. It's like between and some stuff's fallen off my IMDb, which is like the official resume for film and TV people online. But everybody who's worked for any length of time, especially before IMDb was around, like me, we have tons of credits that either never made it on there, or that maybe the project got sold, the master got sold to some new people, and they cleaned a bunch of credits, which is not their legal right to do, by the way. But what am I going to do? Sue them because I don't have a boom operator credit for 20 odd episodes of the TV series Alias over 3 seasons? I have one credit, or I had one credit. I think that's disappeared. It was kind of cool that I was like a regular day player on Alias, swinging a boom above Victor Garber or Jennifer Garner's heads. That was fun. That was cool. Bradley Cooper, real nice guy. Before anybody except us, those of us on set, knew who the hell he was. Bradley Cooper was on Alias. There are lots of those things that were amazing experiences for me. Some of the films I've been part of making as a producer, one of the producers or the producer in charge and everything in between. So many cool stories, some of which I can actually tell. Some of which there's maybe in non-disclosure agreements might still be binding. I'd have to look on a case-by-case basis. I don't have them at hand here with me in 2025 Paris. Some of them I probably can't talk about. Some of them I don't want to make other people, it's not about protecting my image because I'm not really too worried about it. I'm doing this. I'm doing this right now. Obviously, I'm comfortable to let it all hang out a little bit. But to be halfway serious for a second, there are a lot of people, uh, even the biggest successes have stories that are like, "Oh, okay, this one thing went really sideways." And then the person who was involved in that part that went sideways is like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, it's bad on them." I'm not interested in telling stories that make other people look bad. I have some funny stories of where I really effed up in the early days. I have some funny stories. I've been able to work with some people who, we all know, and like I knew beforehand, and we all know, we knew then or we know now. And the only stories I would tell are probably going to be positive. I'm not going to veer in terms of other people. Anything that I'm totally open to telling embarrassing stories about me, because there are some. And luckily they're far enough in the past, and I've been able to do enough stuff since that I can laugh at it, and because I know, okay, I lived, I learned, I lived, and I laughed. I'm laughing now, but I want to be able to share these stories with you. So the Reflections from a Life on Set series is about telling as many of those stories as I can, with names occasionally changed to protect the innocent and the guilty, as they say. So that's going to be this format. I'm going to continue to do these for a while. I'm going to endeavor to do them on Friday nights. We'll see how this goes time wise. It's Friday night, my time. I started at 9 p.m. my time, Paris time, on Friday, August 22nd. I'm going to end a little after 10 p.m. So a little after the top of the hour as I chat right this second in real time. But I want to be able to share stories. So like there's stuff I want for future, current up and coming filmmakers, indie filmmakers, I guess I'm really speaking to specifically. That's most filmmakers, indie filmmakers. Very few people are like studio filmmakers, and they don't need my advice. I mean, they might benefit from certain pieces in certain ways, but I mean, if they're, if you're at a certain level where you don't need to hear from a guy like me, that's fine. Congratulations. I mean, seriously, that's awesome. But I want to be able to help young filmmakers with any questions they have. I want to empower people doing something like moving to a foreign country or your second foreign country. Feel empowered to do it, because even if neither one of those are your particular mission or your jam, your crazy thing that you want to do, unless it's going to hurt other people, do it. Do it. Figure out how to do it. Part of being a producer, part of why I'm so grateful to have had that job for so long, although, yeah, I'm a writer director who kind of got sidetracked until I started reclaiming it with my film, The Unwinding, and some other things, and these films I'm developing on my own. Here's how you figure it out, and again, if you know this, bear with me because I'm going to get to something you don't know, maybe, or at least my opinion. But for somebody who's just starting out, I mean, like I've consumed thousands and thousands of hours of YouTube content with people who have had some degree of experience or success in a given area, and I've learned from them, and it's great. So hey, listen to me for a few minutes, and maybe this will help you. It won't hurt. Maybe you already know it. It won't hurt though, right? So if you're trying to figure out some crazy goal you want to accomplish, it could be in your personal life and it could be local and doesn't involve world travel and celebrities and any of this crap, okay? Or if you want to try to do something that's kind of crazy and even more ambitious than like any of your friends think is possible, great. Good for you. Good for you for thinking about it, even if you end up doing something different or you try it and it doesn't go the way you hoped. Here's what you do. You figure out, okay, what does the end state look like? Right? Like, okay, I want this thing. I want this as an idea. I'm gonna say, I want this. I want to be this kind of person, doing this kind of, having this kind of life in this kind of place. Cool, awesome. More power to you. Unless it hurts other people, then F you. But probably doesn't if you're listening to me talk about it. So figure out where you want to go. Then then you basically figure out the steps backward. Okay. And it takes some research. You got to watch some videos, read some books, talk to some people who've done it. That's what's helped me more than anything. So I'm happy to try to be that person where I can for you if that's something I can be useful for. I'll be your free teacher on YouTube if you just ask me questions. That's kind of the long and short. I'm spending an hour basically telling you that, but figure out the state you want to be in, like the place you want to be in, state of existence, not state of where your feet are. Figure out where you want to be, and then just go backwards and figure it out. Think about it, read about it, YouTube, ask ChatGPT about it. ChatGPT ain't perfect, but ChatGPT knows some shit. Here's where I am. Here's where I want to be. What do I have to do? Enter. Okay. And then you want to iterate and, you want to do multiple rounds of that and actually make it something, right? Sand the rough edges off, but basically figure out where you want to be and then figure out the steps backwards. Like if you're walking backwards, imagine it as a movie in your mind that you're playing. And I say, okay, I want to be there, but I'm here. Oh my God, it's a million steps to get there. Well, it's probably not a million, first of all. It might be a lot. It might be a lot, and they might be steep, hard ass steps. Okay. But guess what? You start taking them. If it's for you, at a certain point, you'll start to feel like somebody's giving you a little nudge. And I'm not talking about Jesus, no offense. It's, I'm not talking anything religious. It could be. If that's your particular jam, I mean no offense, and that's fine. That's how you interpret it, and maybe that's what's happening. I don't know. I'm just a middle-aged fat man living in France. I don't know what's real for you. Okay. It's not for me to say. And if it is, fantastic. That's cool. The point is, if something's for you at a certain point, you're going to have enough challenges early that it's just the way your experience may be different. You may just like, I want to do this. And then whoosh, you just may just glide off on the smoothest ride of your life to get from where you are to where you're going. Most of us doesn't work like that. Most of us doesn't work like that at all, right? If you got some crazy story of some super ambitious thing you did, again, tell us all in the comments. We'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. I'd love a good story. I love a good story of success, especially of, hey, I was here, I'm doing this now, and that's what I wanted, or it's right next to what I wanted, or it's a version of what I wanted. Here's how I did it. Tell me. I'd love to hear about that stuff. So figure out where you want to be, figure out the steps going backwards, and eventually you'll land where you are, right? And then you basically put that in a list and start checking boxes as you accomplish things. Now, you may be able to skip ahead a few times. You may be able to find a few areas where you can leapfrog and say, oh, you know what? I think I have an inside angle or a special skill or maybe a connection of some kind, but I can go from here and I can skip steps, the next steps 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I can be here. And that lets me accelerate. Cool. Do that. Just understand what lessons you would have learned if you walked the steps you skipped. And somebody much smarter than me told me that, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's the important thing. If you skip steps in life, it's like if you skip steps doing a job or doing some kind of task or work. I'm not saying this from a place of judgment. Who the hell am I to judge you or anybody else? I'm not. But I'm telling you, because I've learned this the hard way myself. If you skip steps on something, you need to at least mentally do the rep, right? Mentally do the step so that you have some idea of what the learning is, right? Because you're going to need that later. If you get to that place that you want to be, that's like the crazy new state place, you're going to need the knowledge that you would have got if you started here and you did the hard ass walk all the way and climbed all the way up that mountain. You're going to need that knowledge that you would have gained along the way, right? You may not have to walk the same. You're not going to walk the same. We all walk different paths and such. So Reflections from Life Unsaid is more of this kind of babble, except I'm focused on a given project, a given person, a given phase of life, a given career phase. As I mentioned, we've got the Shay Davis, Shay, C-H-E-Z. It looks like Ches Davis, the Ches Davis channel. Shay, I just did it. Shay Davis means House of Davis. It's like a funny tongue-in-cheek thing for me and my wife and our little house here is the two of us and this crazy life as expat parents in Paris. If that's interesting to you, please check it out. I'll when I update this description after this goes on the replay, I'll be smart enough to put the link in the description, because I don't think I was smart enough when I posted that we're going to do this live. But check that out if you're interested. It's pretty cool. We have some fun stuff. Even if you're not a parent or want to move to Paris or anything, there's some stuff that's objectively entertaining in there. I think, being as objective as I can be. I have music in terms of what I'm doing creatively. I have a bunch of unfinished songs. I need a electric guitar. Can't afford to buy one right now because buying those baby diapers takes precedence over buying daddy a guitar. But I'll get one. I have an acoustic back there. You can see my little classical. That was my birthday gift from my wife last year. So I've had that a minute, and I've recorded with that too. And I've laid down some basic tracks, and then had an electric guitar. A friend who has an electric guitar in another country play some parts for me. Because here it is on acoustic, man. Can you get in there and play this on an electric with some distortion? Sure, man. But I need a little more equipment to start recording. I have a bunch of songs written, so I'm looking forward to that. So how do you juggle all this creative craziness? Brendan, how do you juggle screenwriting, film development, music, YouTube, personal plus family stuff? Family, honest answer, I don't balance it. I don't balance it. Family's always going to win. Okay. Family's going to win because it has to, and it should, and it has to. And that's the whole family sandwich on that thought. The family channel I have with my wife, that wins most of my time here. This channel here means a lot to me. I started this channel in the year of our Lord 2006. I started this channel when YouTube was about 6 months old, roughly, something like that. And I've had this channel that long. So the video I mentioned way back in this conversation about Rook Overman plays Binary Finary 1998, and how it was considered viral for the time, when viral meant, oh my God, you had 100,000 views. Oh my God. And obviously now we're talking millions. That video was shot in early 1999. That was the first thing I posted on YouTube. That's the oldest video. You can go to my channel here where you're watching this. You can hit oldest on the videos, and that's it. You also go to popular, and it's the second most popular next to my film, Unwinding. Again, I don't get a penny from that. This isn't about money or whatever. Watch it. It's so damn good. Man, I'm so talented. May he rest in peace. But I don't balance it, in terms of time. This was about how do you balance your time creatively in between all the obligations. I do my best is the real answer. And, it's tough. And some stuff falls by the wayside, candidly. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, certain of my projects would be a lot farther along if that was all I was doing. If I was dedicating every waking minute to making my movie One Shot a reality, we may not be on set shooting it right now, but there's a non-zero chance we would be. There's a non-zero chance we would have shot the film and it's coming out soon. There's a reasonable chance that it would have at least been set up, and we're about to go make it when we can figure out the scheduling. So I do my best, like all of you. So I'm going to wrap it up in a moment. Again, I just want to say one more time that if you have any questions, you're watching this on the replay, because I've seen some people come and go in the little people meter over here in the corner. Thank you for joining. If you joined during, if you're able to pop in, and some of you just went, what the hell is this? Not for me. Thanks. Bounce. That's cool. So, I don't know. Some of you may have been here the entire time, and I appreciate that. You might have been here the whole time. You might have just popped in at this moment I'm speaking these words, and then click off before I finish the sentence. I don't know what you're going to do. But moving forward, I want to answer the kind of questions related to filmmaking, related to creativity, related to career resilience, personal, professional resilience, because I know a few things about that. I can speak on that with some authoritative examples, and I'm used to being a teacher, so I miss it. I would love to share some of the things that I've learned, and let me know if you have any questions that I might be able to help with. I'm curious, anything from like how do you keep going when things are tough? Um, you know, what are you going to do next when you don't know? So I just want to say, I appreciate you watching today. You watching. And coming up, we're going to have some more of these. This is more frantic than I meant. As mentioned, we had the curveball with my daughter going to the emergency room. And there goes 4 hours of the day. She's okay, fortunately, thank God. But, that kind of threw off the planning and the peace of mind and getting here, settle in, and go through the outline the way I planned it and say some certain things that I want to really say to you. I think I've said what I want to say to you and what maybe I need to say and hopefully what you need to hear. But moving forward, I'm going to attempt to do one of these once a week. I'm going to see how many of you watch this, frankly. See if you watch this. See if you like it. I'll know after the fact. Did you enjoy this? I'm not asking for your money, although, I'll take it. I'm not asking for your money, though. I'm not asking for you to buy an Unwinding hoodie or t-shirt, although they're there if you want one. They're right there. They ship, I think, US, Europe, UK. That's cool. I get a little piece of that, obviously, but just to be fair, I'm asking for you to don't settle for anything less than the best version of what you want for yourself. And I'm not that you can't put the way I said that can't go on a bumper sticker real neat. If you hear me, you hear me. Okay. Shit's hard. Life is hard, but you can have a better life. I'm not trying to sell you a course or anything. I'd be happy to sell you a t-shirt through the shop. I'm not here to sell you anything, right? I'm here to make stuff. I'm here to do stuff. I'm here to make things that communicate what I see as truths that are worth everybody listening to and watching and enjoying or having as a discussion point for them to disagree with me, right? But I'm interested in saying things and doing things that matter to people. I know I have to some degree. That may be why you're here. If you didn't just stumble in because you like lives, and hey, welcome. Thank you for popping in. So moving forward, we're going to attempt to do one of these once a week, minus the crazy curveballs. Hopefully, no more emergency room visits with the baby anytime real soon. But, if you're interested in this and you're not subscribed, that's cool. If you do that, you will be notified. You can decide, oh, this is for me, or maybe, or whatever, anything in between. So let me know any questions, anything you think that a guy like me might be able to help you with. I'm a really particular dude, like a particular. What's the line Liam Neeson from Taken? It's like, I'm a man with a particular set of skills. I have a particular set of skills. Some of them will not buy me a coffee, and some of them have served me well. So I'm happy to share anything I might have learned with my particular weird set of skills for you. And we'll do this again in a week. We'll really thank everybody who's watching this now, and really thank anyone who's watching this on the replay. And let me know if you got something out of this. If any of this is useful or meaningful to you, it would mean a lot to me to hear that this mattered. However long you watch for a minute or an hour, anything in between. There's no wrong answers. I'm going to say goodnight to you for now and make sure my baby's sleeping soundly. My wife's got her tucked in upstairs. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.